Hello, and welcome to the Isekai Survival Guide Episode 6. I'm your Treasure Guy host, ISG, and today's episode is on haggling, negotiating, and convincing skills. In Isekai, the main character will have a cheat to help them negotiate, or have an ally do it for them, where they might learn something. Or it's the gimmick of the Isekai, and there are originally some salaryman, and every problem can be solved with talking. In medieval times, you might think that everything was able to be haggled, but in the 1300s, the borough courts attempted to control wages. Local authorities regulated the price of all bread and ale that was sold. The courts used the law to enforce these regulations, and imposed their own system of punishment. Haggling over basic commodities was illegal, and in most food markets, bargaining was punishable by a fine, and holding an auction was seen as a criminal act held in secret. The law of supply and demand, that insists on higher prices when goods are in short supply, was regarded as anathema and therefore not allowed to operate in these medieval markets. So don't just assume you can trade a copper coin into a place to say. Ask around about how would you teach your child about haggling to see if there are any rules in the other world. Now there are a lot of sites talking about how to haggle, and they mostly talk about researching the price in advance, having a target price, being willing to hear no, having a good opening line like is that the lowest price you can go, don't be desperate, being friendly with the sales assistant, talking less, listening more, ask the salesperson first, then the manager, be aware of your body language, don't reveal how much you're willing to pay, ask for a freebie and buy in bulk, think about the situation from the seller's perspective, master the if I take away technique, look for the flaws in the product that could reduce the price, using the right language and tone, walk away or pretend you need to check with someone, and mention a competitor's lower price. Then we move on to negotiating. Negotiating in the medieval world was normally only really documented on peace negotiations, through messengers that were either nobility or higher-ranking clergymen, or if it was really important, a member of the royal family, and these negotiations would often include the marriage of royal children, the idea being that the offspring of these marriages would tie these kingdoms together. While modern negotiations alternatively has whole theories and jargon on it, like Batna and Zopa, best alternative of negotiated agreements and zone of possible agreements respectively. And there can be whole courses and videos on it, but for a bit of an edge, your best source of power is your ability and willingness to walk away and take another deal. Before arriving at the bargaining table, wise negotiators spend significant time identifying the best alternative to a negotiated agreement, or BATNA, and taking steps to improve it. Next, although it's not always feasible to engage in small talk at the start of a negotiation, particularly if you're on a tight deadline, doing so can be a real benefit. Research shows you and your counterpart may be more collaborative and likely to reach an agreement if you spend even just a few minutes trying to get to know each other. Even a brief introduction may make a difference. This is one of the most valuable negotiation skills to master. Once you start discussing substance, resist the common urge to think about what you're going to say next while your counterpart is talking. Instead, listen carefully to the argument, then paraphrase what you believe they said to check your understanding. Acknowledge any difficult feelings like frustration behind the message. Not only are you likely to acquire valuable information, but the other party may mimic your exemplary listening skills. You can gain more in integrative negotiations by asking a lot of questions, ones that are likely to get helpful answers. Avoid asking yes or no questions and leading questions, such as, don't you think that's a great idea? Instead, craft neutral questions that encourage detailed responses, such as, can you tell me about the challenges you are facing this month? And rather than making one offer at a time, consider presenting several offers at once. If your counterpart rejects all of them, ask them to tell you which one they like best and why. Then work on your own to improve the offer, or try to brainstorm with the other party an option that pleases you both. The strategy of presenting multiple offers simultaneously decreases the odds of impasse and can promote more creative solutions. Negotiations often get stuck because they disagree about how a certain scenario will play out over time. In such cases, try proposing a contingent contract, in essence a bet about how future events will unfold. For example, if you doubt a contractor's claims that he can finish your home renovation project in 3 months, propose a contingent contract that will penalize him for late completion and or reward him for early completion. If he truly believes his claims, he should have no problem accepting such terms. And last but not least is convincing people. The church and nobility would often use fear and the people's lack of education to control them. But to help convince people of your modern view, you need ancient persuasion techniques. Aristotle identified them 2,000 years ago, and masters of persuasion still use them today. Start your talk by establishing your credibility and character. Show your audience that you are committed to the welfare of others, and you will gain their trust. Use data, evidence, and facts to support your pitch. People are moved to action by how a speaker makes them feel. Wrap your big idea in a story that will elicit emotional reaction. Or compare your idea to something that is familiar to your audience. It'll help you clarify your argument by making the abstract concrete. Explain your idea in as few words as possible. People have a limited attention span, so talk about your strongest points first. And for modern techniques, there's all the ones you learned in English for school for persuasive writing. Rhetorical questions, personal anecdotes, being descriptive and authentic, tricolon, decide on an overarching theme, motive language, inclusive language, humour, inverted phrases, repetition, your body language, extrapolation, generalities, scapegoating, and flattery. That should be it.
At least it was, until I've done some thinking. Oh yeah, hi, this is me. This was a better idea in my head. I wanted to talk to you guys about two things. One, I started a Discord. For one reason, I wanted to be able to talk to you guys a bit easier. Like I said at the start, I'm not perfect, I don't know everything, but you guys keep coming up with some great ideas, and I want to be able to talk to you guys a bit more easily so we can cooperate and come up with a better channel, better views. I'm trying to improve on my video making skills. It's not going that great. The second reason why I started the Discord is because I wanted a bit more credibility. As you can see, I've lost kind of motivation over the past couple of videos, over this video and the last video. So I wanted to be able to make myself more credible. If I give regular updates, I should be able to work easier. The other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is the reason as to why I lost motivation. When I started this channel, I came up with some ideas of how to get the channel out there. One of those was putting them on Reddit. So I put them on multiple Reddits. The other way I thought was doing the Ludwig. So if you don't know the Ludwig, which surprisingly some of you do, the Ludwig is where you make a video about a streamer or someone that streams, then you donate, sending a link to that video so they watch it on stream, and then you get a lot of exposure for that video. So I tried doing this with Grant or Giguk because I thought his audience would overlap with what my audience would be, so I thought that would be a good place to start. But after sending them a lot of money, I kind of feel demotivated and disappointed. So after being demotivated and disappointed, I didn't really feel like making much videos. So even on the holidays where I should be making more content, I kind of just sat back and relaxed. Anyway, that's all I wanted to talk to you about. Next video was a suggestion from Snowflake about survival skills. I don't want to make it primitive technology survival skills because there's tons of channels about that. You can just go watch primitive technology. But I wanted to make videos about the in-between points. So like if you're going from town to town, how do you survive out in the wild and stuff like that. So that should be good. See ya.
If you have more information or thoughts on topics discussed today, be sure to leave them in the comments, and I'll be more than happy to remake the video. In my next video, I'll go over useful survival skills. Hopefully you'll be able to stick around for it. Goodbye.